Hello everyone, Josh Kessel from the Monroe County Public Library here. Today I want to talk to you about another digital creativity at home software that you can use for free. And this time it's called Lightworks. So it's available from lwks.com and it's available for every operating system, Windows, Mac, and Linux. So if you would like to download it and install it, you'd be good to go on any system that you're using. So from the website here, we can see that it is a video editing software, which is used professionally. It's been used on projects like The Wolf of Wall Street, Pulp Fiction, The King's Speech. So it's a very versatile product. You can do a lot of editing and make something professional grade, but it's also good for, hobbyists and just kind of messing around and learning things. I will let you know that there is a pro version and there's a free version. The free version just simply needs you to have an account, so you do need to register because your license will expire in 7 days. That said, there's no cost or anything like that, and once you're signed in, you can do everything that you would need to be able to do. There are some limitations like exporting to different video formats and exporting to higher qualities that are limited on the free version, so just be aware of that. And once we have it downloaded and installed, which I do, I'm going to go ahead and open it up. And if you haven't registered an account, right down here you'll see something that says, hey, you need to register your account, you have 7 days to do so, and then you're not going to be able to use it. So register on the website, and then up here in the right hand corner there's actually a way that you can sign in. I think it lies right here, and that gets rid of that reminder, and it allows you to use the product past 7 days. So that all aside, we're going to get to the actual exciting part of this, which is using the product. So on the default screen, we really don't have a lot of options. Really, the most important thing is create a new project. So we're going to click that because we don't have an archive project. So let's click create a new product or project, and we need to name our project. So I'm going to name this a tried and true name of test. And we have metadata available, so if we're dealing with a lot of clips or we just really need to organize, this metadata can be pretty valuable for us. That said, you don't have to use it if you don't want to. I probably wouldn't use it, but that's just me. We also have frame rate here, which is the most important option on these first menus here. And that's because the software wants to know what kind of video you're working with. If you have something that's 30 frames per second, it's not going to edit the same way as something that's like 48 or 60 frames per second. So you really need to know. However, if you don't know what your frame rate is, you can choose auto. I have some clips downloaded that I don't know the frame rate for, so I would probably choose auto. And mixed rates here is if you have something that's 24 frames per second and then you want to kind of mix it in with something that's 48 frames per second, you can choose that and it'll let you bring both in. For me, I'm just going to pick auto because I only plan on working with one clip. And that said, I know that I don't have two videos from different sources. So I'm going to pick auto and click create. And now we're in our overview. We have our metadata section over here, source view if we've imported a project, this little project board organizing our clips and things like that. We have subclips, sequences, and bins if we want to get organized that way. So for instance, if we have shots of nature, we can make a bin for that. And if we have city shots, we can make a bin for that. It's just basically like files or folders for your different objects. Down here we have a little helpful tooltip, and these are available by default. They're pretty nice for figuring out what you're wanting to do. This one says we can click on our local files and import videos that we have. And if I click on that, you can see that they are there. We also have some inbuilt places where we can pull stock footage or audio from. One called Amazing Music Tracks, one called Audio Network, and one called Pond 5. Pond 5 has a good selection of royalty-free HD, even 4K videos. So if you want to pull things from there, you can. It's directly integrated into the software, so it makes it pretty easy. Do know that not everything on these sources are free, but there are a good number, And if you would like to pay for something, you can license it in your project and use it however you want. So I'm going to click on clips, and I'm going to go ahead and pull in a video file to get started. So these video files I've actually downloaded from another free resource called Pexels, and you can see that they have different frame rates. So this top one is 29.97 frames per second, and this bottom one is 23.98. So because I pulled these offline, I have varied frame rates here, and I can't use both of them at once unless I had that mixed rate option. So this is why the auto is helpful, and if I was wanting to bring in both, that's why the mixed rate version is helpful. So do know that if you do bring in something like this video that has 29.97 frames per second, you cannot bring in another video of a different frame rate unless you have the mixed rates option selected. So that said, I'm going to click this and then click import. And now we have our video file imported. So this you can use to organize. You can pull this over into the source if you'd like, but where I like to work is the editing window. So we have editing here. We have VFX here, so you can add effects, and then an audio workspace as well. And the reason why I like this view is because it's very direct to something like Adobe Premiere. So this program can do a lot of the same things Adobe Premiere can do. And you can see that we have our timeline down here, video track, audio tracks, and this all button down here, which you can use to either enable and disable all tracks, or if you right click it, there's actually an export option there. That was kind of hidden from me when I first started using this, but once you know it's there, it's pretty intuitive. And if I hit play here, you can see that there's no video and my playhead's moving. That's because I haven't dragged the clip onto the timeline. So that's it. I can drag the clip onto the timeline, and doing that, I can show you something that's probably user error, or maybe it's a workflow thing. So if I click this and I drag it down here, you can see that it's just grabbed this one little line. And I think what's happening here is it has like the actual video selected, and maybe it's just this first frame that's bringing in. So whenever you bring it down here, you don't actually get the video, you just have that one frame. So I'm gonna go ahead and click off of this and then click back onto it. And then now I can bring it to my timeline. So if you're an error-prone person like myself, and you're just dragging that singular frame, or maybe it's the sequence that you're dragging down, what you want to do is click off of it, click on your sequence, and then drag that down. So now I can hit play, and I can see that the playhead's moving. Now I have video, and that's all good to go. And I'll go ahead and show you the export, even though we're not really to a point of exporting, just so I don't forget. So down here in this toggle thing, you can toggle off. You can see that it disables everything. Toggle back on. But if you right click it, you have this export button. And in the free version of this, all we have available is H.264 MP4. That's in the free version, you can see here. And then once we go to export, we only have 720 as an option. So that's kind of the limitation of the free version. You're not going to be able to export to higher fidelity, and you can only do one type of video file, which for hobbyist things, that's probably just fine. So probably one thing that you might be wondering now is, well, how do I do interesting things with this? I already have a video file, so let's do something interesting with it. So I'm gonna go into this VFX, and you can see that we have our video here, and we can play it again. And then by default, it gives you like this color correction thing as like a simple kind of effect that you can just test out. So I'm gonna apply this, and we're gonna make it really green. Hit play, and you can see that the green effects on my video, which I can actually reset. I can click in there, get that, and just bring this back to 0, and click this, and then bring this back to 0 too. And now my video will be completely normal. So if I played it now, you wouldn't have the effect. So the applying effects is very easy. You just have to click the plus button, find the effect that you want. So if we want this really weird looking negative effect, we just double click it. And you can see the effect is applied because we have, obviously this on here, and there are these tiny little boxes down here applied to the video. So one thing that I kind of wondered whenever I was working with this, or an issue that I ran into, was whenever I apply the effect, it actually applies it to the whole video. So for instance, whenever I had that green color on there, the entire time the video would be playing, the color would be green. And I thought, well, what if I had something like a title? So let's say that we had some text and we did, rolling text on there. We'd have like this nice little text crawl, but we only want it for the first few minutes. We don't want it to go through the whole video. So I'm going to Command Z that off, and I'm going to go to a section of the video that I think, let's go to like 3 seconds. I only want that effect on there for 3 seconds, the text. So now I can hit the razor tool, or the cut tool, I guess in this one, because the shortcut key is C, so it's easy to remember, and hit the C button. And now you can see that there's this little line here. And I can zoom in and scroll over. You'll see this line here. It split the clip in two. So now if I have the first section selected and then apply this text, it is only applying to this first part of the video. So if I hit play, you can see that it goes by, and now the text is gone. And that's because I have split the different clips here. Another thing with this is we can move these apart, and let's say that I want to have, a transition, like I wanted to say something here, then I want to add more text down here. So let's go ahead and add this title. The way that you get black space into your video is just actually to separate the clips or move the clip from the beginning and just have the black space in the blank area. So if there's no video there, it will be showing just black space. So let's go back. You can see it plays this, and it goes to the probably way too quick title there, and then it'll go back to my scene. So that's how you get black space, if you're wondering that. You can do things using keyframes with the graphs to kind of like tail off the effect. So if you had this like a green color, or if you had like the rolling text, you can slow it down. We have node-based routing. So if you like to work visually and we have the desire to go from one effect to another effect to another, we can just click and drag these little nodes to different sections, things like that. And from there, that's how we get our movie. So if I really wanted to, I could have this be my movie where it pulls this sample text, it goes to this title, and then it goes back to my butterfly. And using this knowledge, layering these things, knowing that you can cut and add effects, that you can ease things in or out, that you can edit your audio, and then when you're all done, you can export yourself a movie. That said, thanks for joining us this time, and I'll see you in the next one.